Peace, Grand Kush 9MG TV. This is a comprehensive analysis of Genesis. I said I was going to get into the two creations. Let's get to it. First of all, is Christianity really a real religion? Or is it a religion to control the poor people, right? Same with any monotheistic religion, aside from Judaism, considering how it evolved, and came about. Christianity, though, European Christianity, Catholicism, in regards to black people, right? Now, some of us will say Christianity is black. Indeed, there are black contributors to the composing of the Bible, black prophets and things of that nature within the Bible. But let's talk about these two creations. Now, check this out. And I don't think too many people consider this. Because in Genesis, you're talking about the genealogy, right? You're talking about the genes. And so a lot of us think that Adam was the first man. And that's not necessarily true, right? And we're going to peep that out. Let's dig into it. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Okay. Now, the next sentence is very important because it's speaking about how the earth was formless and void. And that's what we concentrate on when we think about Adam. We think about the creation of the earth, and we do not think about the beings that are of the heavens that were created. Third verse, and God said, let there be light. And there was light, and God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. This is the first day, right? Look into the light in the concordance. What are these lights on the first day? Okay, you got the separation of the waters from the sky. Okay, sky is the name of Anu. When you break down Anu, the Most High God of the Anunnaki, his name breaks down to sky or heavens. Let's look that up. Let me get rid of some of this content. I'm going to double back on that. Okay. All right, here's Anu. And as you can see, by way of the breakdown of his name, it's divine personification of the sky, king of the gods, right? You can also place heavens next to his name. The abode is the heaven. All right, so Anu is in the heavens. Multiple traditions regarding the identity of Anu's spouse existed, though three of them, Ki, Yuresh, and Antu. Okay. So these gods, we got to understand as well that these gods also have counterparts. They have wives. Okay. The second day involves the sky, the separating of the waters. Okay. Third day, the waters is gathered in one place. We got vegetation, seed-bearing plants, fruit trees, according to its kind. The earth produced vegetation, right? And God with seed according to their kinds, and God saw that it was good. It's interesting today that we're eating fruit and has no seeds in it. That's the third day. Fourth day, though, it says again that Elohim created the lights and the expanse of the sky to distinguish between the day and the night. So there were lights created to separate the day and the night, and then there's lights created to distinguish between the day and the night, and let them be signs to mark the seasons, days, and years. God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars as well. Is this the genealogy of the heavens? Is this the genealogy of the heavens? Because they're talking about the earth. Also, the Elohim made birds, okay, great sea creatures, living things that move, waters teemed according to their kinds, every winged bird, and that was good. Also, God said, be fruitful, bless them, bless these animals, be fruitful and multiply and fill the waters of the seas and multiply on the earth. Now, when you look into the evolution of the bird, right, you'll find some interesting knowledge if you know how to put it together. Okay, the bird clan. Sixth day, let the earth bring forth living creatures, livestock, land crawlers, right? Is the monkey a land crawler? Beasts of the earth according to their kinds, and it was so. God made the beasts of the earth according to their kinds, to the livestock according to their kinds, everything that crawls upon the earth, and God saw that it was good. And then from there, okay, with these beasts of every kind and livestock, God said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. Now, if you see this here, right, when you got, let us make man in our image, okay, what image is that? And our likeness. This has to be in reference to the creators, the Elohim, okay? And according to the Atrahasis, the Sumerian creation stories, also the Egyptian creation stories, all right, the creators had to be physical beings, not just natural cosmic forces of the cosmos. So God, why is that? Because a physical creation needs a physical creator, right? So the lion was always looking like the lion, if you can understand that. So God created man in his own image, in the image of God. He created him. Male and female, he created them. So these creators of the heavens created a male and a female, right? He created them. This is not Adam and this is not Eve. Doc broke this down, but let's tap in on it. Also, before we look at this, it says, let us make man in our image and after our likeness, to rule over the fish, the sea, the birds of the air, over livestock, over all the earth itself and every creature that crawls upon it. It says, let us, okay? Let us. What is the us in Elohim? Well, if you look at the Anunnaki, if you look at the surgeries, the upgrading of the human, mixing the human or the earthly genetics with the Anunnaki genetics, there was a group of scientists involved in this. If you look at the Anunnaki story, right? And so the us is the earlier creators. It doesn't say one God formed a man. That's the second creation. So let us. So God created man. What is man? Let's look at man, because this is the first mention of man, right? And so what is man called here? Adam, Adam, man, men, man's human, mankind, person, anyone, right? A human being, Adam, a human being. That's what this says. This is how they break this down. You understand what I'm saying? And when you look at human beings and Homo sapiens, the question is, did black people come from ape man? Okay, is Homo sapien an upgraded being from an archaic human, right? Of low degree person, man, mankind. Okay, you see where this Adam comes from? Gives you the language and tells you always how it's being used, right? Collective mankind, proper name masculine, Adam, first man, but this is not the first man. We're going to show you that. The term underlines that humanity is a single family, male and female, endowed with rationality, moral capacity, and stewardship authority. The Lord God took the man and placed him in the Garden of Eden. So is this the same story? You see how they slapped that together? That is Adam, right? That's being created. My bad, let's go back. That is Adam being created. But we're going to see that it's not Adam. I hate that it does that. But anyway, it's not Adam. Because so he created man in his own image, right? A resemblance, a representative, an idol of God, Elohim. He created him, okay? Male, right? Zakar. So this is a male. He created males, Zakarites. And Zakar means to remember. All right. Of man or beast. They were called males and females. This man is Zakar. Who pointed that out first? The master teacher. Okay. Zakar. Be male, mention, mindful, recount, record, remember, to make, to be remembered, burn incense, like they burn incense on the altars. Okay. To remember. Basically, this male is to remember who the creator was, who they were created from. And then we have the female, Nekaybaw. Okay. From the sexual form, female, Nekaybaw. From Nakab, woman, female animal. All right. This is not Eve. So what type of male and females are these? Because this is what God said. He said, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. So these males and females have some form of intelligence. Okay. And here, further breakdown, it says that they were created and called man. That's the first creation. So who are these males and females? What's their race? Are they superhuman? Are they different from the Adamites? Why do I ask that? Because past the sixth day, on the seventh day, there was rest. So is Genesis 2 an explanation of a further explanation and breakdown of Genesis chapter 1? I don't think so. Because check, it says, this is the account. This is the account. All right. In the King James versions, that accounting is a listing of the generations. So let's see. Toledo, if I pronounce that right, became the father, descent, family, your Lord, descent, birth, generations. Okay, genealogical registration, genealogies, generations, order of their birth. Okay, that's the account, is the generations of the heaven and the earth. When they were created in the day that the Lord, now it's the Lord. This is the first time that we deal with the Lord. Wasn't dealing with the Lord before. Why not? Why did that change? Why did that change? Maybe you got to understand the story, because I think Genesis is drawing more from the Sumerian creation stories rather than the Egyptian stories, right? But you still have, as you see here, that Enki was created from clay. Now, when you see the breakdown of Enki and Enlil and their entitlement, Enki's name is, Enki is the god of water, wisdom, magic, and creation. Enlil is just the god of, not just the god, he's the god of the earth. He's the head on the planet and representation, a representative of his father, the sky god, the heavenly god. Okay. The Bible came way after this. We got to understand that. And so it says here that the first human beings was formed out of clay. Now, Islam comes from Sumeria, Babylon, and things of that nature. So does Judaism. You got to understand that. But when you say created from clay, well, let's look at this. Because you gotta ask yourself the question. Who are they talking about? Who are they talking about? Here's a God that was worshipped from damn near the first dynasty into the Greco-Roman Egyptian period. And what should stand out here is the potter's wheel, that canoe created on the potter's wheel, and they said he used clay. It gets a little bit deeper, right? After the jinn was created, as for the jinn, we created them earlier. Well, indeed, we created man. This is Surah Al-Hijr, right? 15:26. Indeed, we is Elohim, right? Let's see. The we created, if they give us.
خلقنا.
See, that's why it's hard to find the translation of kalagna, kalakuna. We created. From sounding clay molded from black mud. How is all of this the same? Okay. And Genesis is dust of the ground, right? And the Quran is black mud. And dealing with Noon is black mud or clay. And when you're dealing with Enki, he's creating with the clay. Right? Now, Enki is a whole different type of being from his brother. He's the god of water, wisdom, magic, and creation. What other god do you see that's like this, right? That got them same type of attributes. Tahuti. Tahuti or Thoth or Jehuti is the ancient Kemetic Egyptian netter god of wisdom, writing, magic, and measurement. Revered as the scribe of the gods and the mind of Ra. And so when it comes down to the genetic formula of forming these humans out of clay, it is said that Tahuti is the one that gave Noom the formulaic script. But if you see that these gods carry the same type of breakdowns, let's get back to Genesis. This is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made them. Then the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground. So let's look at this, right? Because man back then was Adama. But this man is formed from the dust of the ground. Formed, not let us make man. Male and female. This being is being formed, right? Man, Adam, still. Okay. Dyed red. Now, remember, Zakar means to remember. But this Adam says dyed red. All right. And then you go, because remember, we went into Zakar itself. So let's go into Adam. Dyed red. Dyed red. Rudy. To show blood in the face. Flush or turn rosy. Be red. Is just a white man. Okay. Here's more of a breakdown. The root behind Strong's Hebrew 119 paints the Hebrew scriptures with a spectrum of vivid red, from the dyed tabernacle coverings to the prophetic scenes of judgment. Each appearance of the term accents an aspect of human sin, divine covering, or marital vigor, setting the color red in deliberate theological contrast to purity and peace. So you know this was their first movies, right? It's how they act this stuff out. They act this stuff out. Association with blood, sacrifice, and covering. Redness as symbol of sensual allure. When you look at the Matrix and he said, you know what I'm saying, watch out for the woman in the red dress, the lady in red. Anyway, what type of man is this now? Sinner, sovereign alike, soldier, sensual excess, portraying royal beauty. All right, so that's the whole breakdown on this Adam. Red. He's dyed red. Okay? It's not Zakar. It's not Nekaybaw. Also, he's from the dust. Let's look at the dust. From the ground. Mortar, powder, rubbish. Okay? From afar. What are they trying to say? To be dust. This has nothing to do with Zakars, the Zakarites. Okay? So I would say that's a literal difference. Two different creations going on in the Bible. And so when Cain, when you're dealing with Cain, right? And Cain said, when I'm punished and kicked out of the Garden of Eden, there are others in the outer field who will kill me. Okay? And these outside are not us. They're not going to recognize me. I can't tell them my family line or anything. So what did Yahweh do to Cain? He put a mark on his forehead, right? And the first time you see mark is when the lights are created to mark the day and the night. He put a mark on his forehead. So the Zakarites, okay, won't kill him. And so from the dust of the ground, the breath of life was put into his nostrils. And the man became living. Okay? The man was living. Operation. The Lord God planted a Garden of Eden. Okay? This is a Sumerian word. In the east from where? Where he placed the man he had formed. Out of the ground, the Lord God gave growth to every tree. There was already trees, though. That is pleasing to the eye and good for food. Okay, this is not pleasing just to this new Adamite. It's he's getting the vegetables and fruits that are pleasing to the Elohim. What he can't have is the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Question: why is this temptation there? This signifies if this particular being can follow instructions. Okay? It tells you where they're at. The Pijan, land of Avila, where there's gold, Bedoulam, pure onyx, okay, that is no doubt Africa. Gion, land of Cush, Africa. Tigris, Assyria, Euphrates, Sumeria, Babylon, Ur of Chaldees area. Okay, so this whole Africa from Cush all the way to Sumeria is the Garden of Eden. Okay, and the man got to cultivate that. Now, when you look at the origins of black people in the time that black people were really created scientifically, did Yahweh exist in this progressive creation? Right? Or did Yahweh come after? Allah come after? Okay? And the Lord God commanded him, you may eat anything that you want. Basically, you cannot touch the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because you will die. And when you look at die, this is literal. Like, I eat it and pass out. I eat it, I'm dead. Right? That didn't happen. It is not good for the man to be alone. The man is alone. But how is he alone when male and female was created? These are not the same creations. These are not the same beings. You understand what I'm saying? The ones on the outside control everything. The ones on the inside of the Garden of Eden got specific animals. I will make him a suitable helper. And then what happens? Just like in the beginning, when this livestock and the beast and the living creatures were all created, that's what was given to Adam. So the Lord God caused man to fall into a deep sleep. What is this? Okay. He put the breath of life in this being, in this man, and he became a living being. And then he said, I'm going to give you some suitable helpers. No suitable helper was found for Adam. Okay, now his name is Adam now. Let's look at that. I gotta go to the next one. Bloop. 220. Adam. What you see now? Now it's not saying Rudy Red. Okay? It's saying man now. Adam, the name of the first man. Remember when we looked at Adam, it said Rudy Red, right? And it says it's designated the first human created directly by God, the progenitor of all mankind. So who is Zakar and Nekaybaw? All right, let's go back. Let's go back. This is how we know that these are two different creations. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into sleep, and while he slept, he took one of the man's ribs. He ribbed them and closed up the area with flesh, sewed them back up. And from the rib that the Lord God had taken from the man, he made a woman and brought her to him. And the man said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman. For out of man she was taken. Okay, and so is this the first, in regards to Adam, a designator, a opposite to what man is woman. Okay, this is not Nekaybaw. Woman. Ishaw. And so the man is Ish, right? So now you got Zakar and Nekaybaw, and then you got Ish, and Ishaw, right? And this is woman, wives, word origin, man. You got man. When we looked at Adam, we had man, right? And so the man is Esh. Remember, Zakar means to remember. And then when you get to Enosh, it might mean forgetful. Okay? So this is not the breakdown of Zakar and Nekaybaw. Am I right? Am I on point? And then it goes into their earthly story again, right? Lord or God with capital letters represents the proper name of the God of Israel and the one true God, transliterated from the Hebrew as Yahweh. Then why do they write it like that? Why do they use both of those terms? Because it's a designation between a group of beings and one being, right? Who had the power to create a likeness of himself, possibly, or created a being for his own particular gain. Then you jump to Genesis 2. And that's giving you the breakdown. We went over that. It must have jumped back. All right. And so, look, out of nowhere, now it's time for the temptation. Who comes? The serpent. The serpent is more crafty. Okay, who got crafts in his name? Inky. I'm not saying the serpent is inky, but we got to think about what is the medical symbol? And then the serpent has the power to contest Yahweh. Okay. The serpent said, you will not surely die. You can get this knowledge like all of us. We all can get this knowledge. I don't know why Yahweh pissed off about it. He don't want y'all to do anything, but we got blessed to have everything, and why shouldn't y'all? This is the type of conversation that the serpent, okay, that is having with Ishaw, Eve, okay? It doesn't say in the story that Eve was frightened or scared. In fact, she didn't mind talking to the serpent. So the serpent can't be a literal serpent, a walking reptilian that look like a snake or dragon or anything like that. These are attributes and titles. Okay? Who told you that you were naked? There's a conversation going on. I heard your voice. I was afraid. I was naked. So they already had the whatever the tree of knowledge is. They know exactly what's going on now. Okay. The Yahweh is now, they just been coming out of that P. Diddy shit. They know what's going on. Then the Lord God said to Ishaw, Adam snitched. He said the woman gave it to me. She played me. She was hollering at the serpent. And then she came back and she was like, here, smoke some of this weed right here. Right? So the Lord God said to the serpent, because you have done this, he gets his curse, the punishment of mankind, right? Even the mankind gets punished. I will sharply increase your pain in childbirth. Your desire will be for your husband. I guess before they could have whoever they wanted to have. You would desire your husband only. I thought that was the first commandment, and she was supposed to be suitable for the man, but this is the Bible, and he will rule over you. So man, female definitely ain't. They are definitely not letting you rule over them today. Right. But anyway, to Adam he said, because you listen to the voice of your wife, even though y'all are supposed to be one, you listen to your wife, you ate from the tree, I told you not to. Cursed is the ground. He come from the ground. Cursed is the ground. You will toil and eat the thistles and all of that stuff, right? You will return to the ground. So who were they before? before this curse. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return. And then after that, Adam named his wife Eve, because she will be the mother of all the living. Right? She will be the mother of all the living. We're going to look at Eve. Hava, to declare, the first woman. So who are the male and females? Life giver. Okay. And you got that. So the master teacher gives a comprehensive breakdown in the scroll that he wrote dealing with Genesis. Right? And I think I have that. I'm not going to pull it up right now. And so these two creations, while this is going on, therefore the Lord God banished him from the Garden of Eden to work the ground from which he has been taken. So he drove out the man and stationed cherubim. What are cherubim? And do cherubim still exist on the east side of the Garden of Eden, along with a whirling sword of flame to guard the way to the tree of life? Is that flame still, that sword still existing today, right? And then you got, they knuckleheads. They don't listen. And so Cain kills his brother. But instead of Cain getting slapped out, Cain said to the Lord, now it's just the Lord, it's not Lord God. Right? My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, this day you have driven me from the face of the earth, and from your face I will be hidden. I will be a fugitive. Okay? I will be a maroon and a wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me. Who can find Cain? The Zakarites. And then check out what the Lord said. Not so. That's not going to happen. If anyone slays Cain, the murderer, then Cain will be avenged sevenfold. How is this a peaceful, loving God? And the Lord placed a mark. What is that mark? This is the first connection, whatever a covenant is, given to a human being aside from be blessed and be fruitful and multiply. That's not the mark. What is the mark? What is the mark of the beast? Mark of the beast? You get that? Where is the beast? Mark, miracle, oath, sign, token, banner, omens, pledge, standards, witness, consent, a signal, a flag, a beacon. Damn. This Cain walking around with neon lights on. Like, if you fuck with me, you understand. And then what happened when you got to get to, I think, Lamech. Lamech killed a man. He was like, if Cain killed a man, I know he got sevenfold. I'm getting 77-fold. Prodigy, omen, monument, evidence, mark, miracle. So you can't touch Cain. Okay. What omen is it, though? What sign is it? What's the mark? What's the symbol for Cain not being able to get murdered? Well, the sign got to be the sign of crucifixion, right? The cross. And Cain had relations with his wife. She conceived and gave birth to Enoch. Then Cain built a city and named it after his son. This is the first city. Adam didn't build anything. So Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of Nod. What is the land of Nod? Now remember, Zakar means rememberer. What is the land of, where's the land of Nod at? The place of wanderings, vagrancy, where you go hang out at. You know what I'm saying? This is on the block. The land of Nod. Proper name of a territory. Where's the land of Nod at? They still haven't really found it. It's like we're not in Kansas no more though. Okay? So Cain got that mark. And then you go down to the generations of Lamech. And that's what he said. If Cain is avenged sevenfold, then the Lamech 77-fold. Now we know we going into the flood, right? They had to get knocked off. Now we gonna jump back to Adam, and I'm gonna end it right here. And Adam again had relations with his wife. She gave birth to a son and named him Seth, saying, God has granted me the Elohim. Now, right? So it said capital letters is for Yahweh. This is not capital letters. This is the Elohim. Okay? Has granted me another seed in place of Abel, since Cain killed him. And Seth also had a son, and he called him Enosh. And look, at that time, men began to call upon the name of the Lord. So what was they doing before? This is a ritual now. What was they doing before? So let's look at Enosh. Enosh is also connected to man, connected to Ish. Blood. Stranger. Servant. Mankind, mortal. Is connected to incurable. Compared to Ish. From Anash, properly a mortal, and thus differing from the more dignified Adam. So they're different from their fathers. Scorners. What is incurable? Incurable, wicked. So they call, just like y'all call on the name of the Lord sometimes, but you still do wicked. That's Enosh. Incurable, sick, woeful. How do you get cured? Until Jesus come? That's a long time from this point right here. Okay. So this is the line of Adam starts from here, right? And the condition of these people are sickness, weakness, right? Incurable. And this is when you get to the point where you need to be controlled. Okay? And obviously today the Bible isn't working, the Quran isn't working, and so what has to come? Force of the gods. And who are the gods in Bizarro world? Well, authorities, right? So are these the two Is the Zakarites and the Nekaybaws, are they Adam and Eve, or do you think these are two different creations? And if so, who are the Zakarites today? Do they still exist? And who are the Nekaybawites today? And do they still exist? Is that lineage, origin, that blood running on the planet? Or is all of this made up? It's got holes in it. And we definitely know that it comes from older, ancient creation stories outside of, Sumeria and ancient Egypt, and even before that, when we dealing with the origins of real black people in Africa. Grand Kush, y'all hold it down until next time. Peace.